What's going on YouTube? So when it comes to luxury sports sedans, the Germans have always prided themselves as being the leaders of the segment. However, we're with a competitor from Korea. This is the refreshed 2025 Genesis G70. So with more power and tech, plus an additional 2025 change, is this updated G70 the best of them all? Well, let's go ahead and find out. All right, so let's start things out under the hood. So we do have a new base engine that was added with this refresh. That is a 2.5 liter turbo 4 with 300 horsepower. However, we have the more exciting engine option still, because that is an additional 65 horsepower, 365 horsepower from a 3.3 liter twin turbo V6 engine. Power is routed through an 8-speed automatic transmission, and this model here with all-wheel drive gets 20 miles per gallon combined.
Now, we can't wait to detail all of those things when we go out for a spin in this G70. We'll also be getting things like our signature sound level reading, as well as diving into resale value and reliability, which is a new thing we're adding to our reviews.
But let's close up the hood, because first we need to take a look at the exterior as well as the updated interior. Now, before I get into the exterior design, I do want to quickly mention the model year. So this was technically refreshed for the 2024 model year. However, it was a very short model year, and we've now moved on to the 2025 model year. For 2025, you do get an additional color option. It's called Burly Blue. And this color here we have today is called Vanta Gray. I'm sure a lot of you guys will want to know what that is, so I just want to get that out of the way right from the start. Now, in terms of this refresh, what Genesis is mostly focused on is the interior. So you'll notice up here in the front, we'll continue to have that signature Genesis grille they added a couple years ago. Very aggressive down here on the lower fascia as well, with the smoked chrome finish on your sport trim levels. Talking about our headlights, these are the signature Genesis quad beam LEDs. So you've got that split design with your daytime running light and turn signal indicators. Now, as we move around to the back, we continue to have a very athletic appearance.
Yeah, I really like the way this vehicle looks. Now, as far as design elements, we kind of have a pointy deck lid up here, and then we also have Genesis spelled out across the back. Let's check out our taillight elements and see if all of the elements are LED. We have an LED brake light portion, LED reverse light, and this integrated down here in the very bottom. Speaking of the bottom, let's go ahead and talk about this, because we have a very aggressive diffuser area. You're going to have exposed exhaust outlets on every single model. However, when you choose the sport models, that's where you're going to get these nice circular design. You're also going to get a special sport tuned exhaust. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
Now, moving on to our wheels, you do have 19-inch alloys across the lineup. As you can see, we have a very nice and sporty contrast design on board. Another thing I really like is that Genesis gives you Brembo brakes as standard equipment. When you have a upper trim model, this is going to get you the nice red brake calipers as well. And then as we move on up here to our mirrors, this is a top spec. So this comes standard with all of the features, including power folding and auto dimming. And I want to say that auto dimming is on both sides, which is something that our BMW 3 Series does not have.
Now, here at the side, you are going to notice that this G70 is a very compact size overall. It's 184.4 inches in overall vehicle length. As far as some design elements, we do have some smoked chrome around our windows. And then moving on to our safety systems, we are going to have all of our safety systems as standard equipment on all G70s. That will even include things like highway drive assist. But guys, let's go ahead and check out the really luxurious cabin. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now let's go ahead and check out the pretty updated interior. First, we'll take a look at the updated key fobs. So you might have seen this from the flagship Genesis G90. Well, now we have that here on the G70. It's a very nice looking design, looks super cool and luxurious. Smart entry is going to be standard on all models. You also have a digital key system if you choose a 3.3 model. And as you approach, the mirrors will go ahead and fold out, sensing your proximity. Now to get inside, just grab behind the handle, that will unlock the door. And then taking a look inside the interior, you will notice definitely some changes like I was mentioning. We'll go through those specific changes in just a second, but as always, we need to start off by talking about the interior color and material selections. So if you get the 3.3T Prestige, or the Sports Prestige, excuse me, that's going to get you the seat you see here. So this fully loaded model gets the quilted Napa leather seating. As you can see, beautiful design here. It's super soft and supple as well. I love the sport seat. We have the thick bolsters that are really going to hold you in place. And this, of course, is the gray color. You do have a few other options as well. In terms of the seat controls, we also have additional functions on this top trim level. So we have 16 ways of power adjustment on board, and you have memory seats built into the door trim. But let's go ahead and climb fully inside. Now that I'm fully inside here, let's discuss the overall cabin materials. So we'll start off with the door trim. You're going to find that same quilted design from the seat up here on the door trim itself. It looks very premium. It is going to be a soft touch plastic along the top. As we move to the upper dashboard, this is a soft touch plastic with a stitching detail. We have a leatherette material that's going to run all around the screen and down the console here, as well as down this section as well. And then we do have what appears to be, I believe, a faux aluminum trim with a darkened finish on this model. Now let's go ahead and start it up. We do have the new push button start. This is from the other Genesis products. Got a little bit of a growl when it starts up as well. I'd certainly like that. All right, now let's go ahead and check out the gauge cluster as we get into the individual features. This is a partially digital and partially analog setup, so you'll notice the side over here is about a 7-inch display, and you can reconfigure that with different kinds of information right there in the center, like several other Genesis products. Now, the thing you get that's additional for the Sport Prestige is you get the blind spot camera system, and you also get a head-up display at the top. Now, as we pull back to the steering wheel, we've got a refreshed design here. I definitely really like this steering wheel. First of all, good feel in the hands, but the other thing I like is that we have now the leather-covered airbag cover and the updated Genesis logo, which is kind of a flatter look. Overall, very nice. Most of the trims will also get power adjustment, and you do get heating standard if you have an all-wheel drive model or if you get the top-end Sport Prestige. Now, let's turn over here and take a look at storage. This is a small sedan, but the storage is not too bad, actually. You'll see we have donuts inside. That's because this is Car Confections. We do the donut test on this channel. We see the volume by putting the donuts inside, and we have 6 donuts for this model. It's nicely felt lined as well, and there's the USB-C inside. 2 cup holders in front of that. Nice wireless phone charging pad in the very front, and you do have some additional connections right there. Now, in terms of our shifter, this is an electronic style shifter. Not anything complicated. You just pull back for drive, press forward for reverse. When you go into reverse, the top Sport Prestige will give you the 360-degree camera system. It does have active trajectory as well. You have a few views that you can choose from, but it doesn't have the really fancy thing where you can spin all the way around the model like you can on the GV70 and GV80. Now behind that, we have our drive mode selector. We also have brake hold and an electronic parking brake. Now, let's talk about this region right here. So this is where you're really going to notice that there are some pretty substantial changes for 2024 or 2025, the refreshed model. Basically, they've switched the climate controls to a partially digital and still physical controls. So you have this nice knurled knob for your temperature adjustment, but some of your other functions are going to be inside of here, such as changing your zones, right like that. You also have your 3-stage heated and ventilated seat controls right there inside the display. I will say this is very responsive, and it also is touch capacitive, so you get that haptic feedback when you press on it. Right above your climate controls, you also have a row of physical audio controls. So let's talk about the audio system. You do have a 15-speaker Lexicon Premium audio system if you choose the 2.5T Sport Prestige or above. Let's go ahead and give that a sample right now. Yeah, so overall sound quality is excellent. This certainly is not, a huge cabin, so it really fills it up very well and has a good full sound to it. All right, let's talk about, some of the tech features, specifically up here at our display. So what we have is a 10.25-inch touch screen. So this is definitely going to be smaller than what you have in many of the other Genesis products, which have 14 or greater inch displays. However, it does have, one of the latest versions of the software, but it's not the latest version of the software, which means that you still don't have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Those features are supported, but you're going to have to connect via a USB. So be aware of that. You do have a built-in navigation function as well. Now up above, we have the auto dim mirror with our HomeLink universal remotes. This fully loaded model gets the full suede headliner, which goes all across everything, including the sunshade cover. And speaking of the sunshade cover, let's slide that back. Most of the models are going to come with this sunroof. Genesis calls this a wide sunroof because it is a little bit larger than what is typical in this segment.
All right, guys, so let's go ahead and quickly dive into the rear seat area of this G70. Now, this is a compact vehicle, and you're going to really notice that when it comes to the rear seat area. That's something that's quite a bit different than a lot of the rivals like BMW 3 Series and C-Class. It's going to be a lot smaller here in the rear. Now, as far as official legroom figures, about 34.8 inches of legroom, about 37 inches of headroom, which is enough, for someone who's 5'9" like myself. My head is starting to kind of scrape the ceiling, and as far as leg room, this seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8". We bring our ruler in all of our Car Confections reviews to get our knee measure, and we're sitting at not very good, about a little over 4 inches of additional knee space. My feet can slide up underneath the seat, but do be aware there is a large center tunnel, so the middle seat passenger is going to be quite uncomfortable. As far as features, we do have vents right here in the center. We also have 2 USB-C ports. Be aware, heated rear seats are not offered on the G70. If you turn over to the door trim area, it's going to be made of the nice materials just like the front, as you would expect out of a luxury vehicle. We even keep the quilting, and we also have a bit of door storage. Do be aware the Stanley water bottle is not going to fit in there. It will fit, though, in the center console that is really nicely outlined in knurled metal. Now, as you move up the trim structure, you will get features like this, which is a fully power opening trunk. And as far as the cargo space is concerned back here, we're looking at about 10.5 cubic feet of space in the G70. Once again, that's going to be a pretty compact figure. That's going to be smaller than a lot of your main rivals, so do be aware of that. I do want to point out the seats do fold 60-40 split. It's a Car Confections review after all, so let's see how much cargo length we have, and we're sitting at about 39 inches of overall cargo length. And then as far as the opening, it's going to be pretty narrow when it comes to the, back end, so about 31 inches of overall length. And then as far as cargo height, that's going to be quite short at 17 inches tall. If I lift up the cargo floor, let me do that real fast. You do get a spare tire, so that's a nice thing that Genesis is including. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2025 Genesis G70. In this drive, we're going to be talking about quite a lot of things, as you can see on the screen right now, including getting our sound level reading. But first, we're going to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration. This is a sports sedan, after all.
Alright, you don't need that much space to get up to 60, even though this red light was kind of spoiling the fun there. We were already above 60 miles an hour because this G70 is seriously quick. So, like we were talking about with the spec dump, we have the Sport Prestige and we have the 3.3 twin turbo V6 engine. With that, we have 365 horsepower, so you have a horsepower for every day of the year. and 376 pound-feet of torque, so plenty of that as well. Very quick. Definitely is going to throw you back in your seat when you accelerate hard off the line.
Yeah, really, really, really good power figures. Now, like we mentioned at the spec dump, one of the main things that they changed with the refresh for the 2024 model year was the base engine setup. So it used to be a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder that made quite a lot less horsepower. They have updated that to be the 2.5-liter turbo 4-cylinder, 300 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque with that motor. So that's going to see a very significant boost in power and torque for 2024 and 2025 model years. But this is going to be the powertrain that you want to choose if you are very power hungry, that's to say the least. Of course, it's also going to give you the V6 refinement of, when you press that throttle down, the engine does not sound strained at all.
As far as the transmission is concerned, we do have an 8-speed automatic transmission. Shifts through the gears nice and quickly. You don't have to wait long at all to get the power that you want when you put your foot down.
Yeah, and power is routed to the ground via the rear wheels or optional all-wheel drive, which is what we have on today's example. But we're going around 55 miles per hour. Actually, we're going 55 miles per hour. Fan speed's already on 1, so I'm going to go ahead and get one of our signature things that we do in all of our reviews, our sound level reading, so we can see how quiet this sport luxury sedan is. .4 decibels is our official Car Confections sound level reading, going 55 miles per hour. That's a very good reading, but I don't have to sit here and guess. I can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings, and on our website we have posted all the vehicles that we test on this channel, which certainly is a lot of different products, and we can see how good it is for its segment. Now, as far as how that compares for the segment, that actually is going to place this as one of the quieter options that we've ever tested out. It's going to be right around that of something like an Acura TLX or a Volvo S60 Recharge. Not quite as quiet as our BMW 330e, though.
Now, one thing that Genesis thankfully did not change with the updates they made was the way this drives. We have always really enjoyed the way the G70 drives, and they continue to give you one of the very most pure sports sedan experiences in this segment. A lot of the competition has moved to be basically more luxurious, and this, while still being luxurious, definitely emphasizes strongly that overall sporty feel. So when you go around corners, this thing is buttoned down. It has a really tight suspension. On this top trim, we do have adaptive suspension as well, so it does change a little bit depending on the drive mode you're in, but regardless, even if you're in the comfort mode, this is going to be really buttoned down. The other thing I really like is the steering. It is super fast responding. It has a nice heft to it, and this is just a vehicle that really, like I said, just feels like it's giving you a super authentic sports sedan feel every day when you're driving it, whether it's fast or slow. And that is today's slam dunk, by the way.
Yeah. Now, on the airball side of things, what we're going to say is just the technology in here. This display, it did just get the refresh, but the fact that it didn't get like the most up-to-date thing is still a little disappointing. Especially with stuff like the updated 2025 GV80 that came out with the really impressive OLED display, when wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto is just really disappointing to not have that on this model, and I think a lot of buyers are going to be upset by that. But we haven't quite talked about ride quality yet, and I do want to just go ahead and point this out about the G70. Like Drew said, this is a very sporty vehicle through and through, and when it comes to your ride quality, I have to say it still is very good. So you can definitely tell, just like sitting here in the passenger seat, that it is on the sportier side, which is something that you want for this segment, so you can feel a little bit of intrusion if you hit a big bump in the road. However, just kind of cruising down a smooth stretch of road like this, this, you will notice that it just has a very controlled, overall luxurious feel, which I'm very happy with. That's, of course, partly to do with the adaptability of those dampers that Drew was talking about earlier, so you can have that luxury side as well as the comfort side as well.
Right, so yeah, I put it in comfort drive mode just for this demonstration, and I would say, yeah, it feels just about the same as our 3 Series, which also does have the optional adaptive suspension.
And as far as last things worth talking about, I do want to mention your fuel economy. This is going to be a little bit of a disappointing area for the G70 because the fuel economy is not great for a small sedan like this. 19 miles a gallon combined for this 3.3 liter all-wheel drive model. Yeah, it goes without saying that's not very good fuel economy. However, the 2.5 liter turbo, that gets a little bit better fuel economy. That's coming in around 23 mpg, so keep that in mind. You can get better fuel economy out of that version. However, it is going to be less than some of the rivals like the BMW and the 340i. The warranty is also something I want to point out about the G70. This is backed by Genesis Signature Warranty, which is a 5-year 60 basic, 10-year 100,000 mile powertrain. You do also get 3 years of complimentary maintenance, which is particularly worth noting in the luxury segment. You typically do not get warranties that long, and you also a lot of times don't get complimentary maintenance, so that will definitely save you some money. Now let's talk pricing for the G70. Now, of course, you're going to start in the low $40,000 price point. If you get a fully loaded model like today, you'll be looking at quite a bit higher. We're looking at $58,630 when we add the $1,250 destination charge for this 2025 G70 3.3T Sport Prestige all-wheel drive. So this is the fully loaded out model. Now, if you're looking to buy a Genesis G70 or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and there's also a pinned comment at the top of this video. Now it's time to talk about potential resale value and reliability to make sure you are making a smart purchase. Now, first up, we'll go ahead and start with resale value. Now, as an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Genesis G70's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years, this vehicle will be worth 42% of its original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 12.47%. Now, it's worth noting that is, below industry average for resale value figures. However, do keep in mind it is very much on par with other luxury rivals such as BMW, Mercedes, and Audi. So those German competitors, it is pretty much right in line with.
Now, we've also done the same for potential reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. What this does is take into account several studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that is useful to you guys. When we take that into account, Genesis is rated slightly above industry average.
Now, if you'd like to check out all of our data about reliability and resale values, as well as learn about our methodology, make sure to head to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a car certainly is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. And guys, that's going to be where we leave off on this in-depth review of the 2025 Genesis G70. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, not only are you going to get more car content like this, you're also going to join in and be a part of our Car Confections family. So by hitting that subscribe button, you're going to be very pleasantly surprised, I promise. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.